I guess this first take on Wave Another Weather. This will be able to check you at Heaven's Door Part 2. Where we left off, Deku walked down the tunnel and got shot with an arrow. Once Deku gets stabbed by the stand arrow, he's wondering, am I gonna die? But in the process, a teenager comes out of nowhere, pulls the stand arrow out of his stomach and tells him, no, you're not gonna die. Deku with a worried expression saying, how do you know that? The teenager tells him, you're still talking, aren't you? That means you have potential. Deku looks at him and says, what do you mean potential? Wait a minute. Are you that kid from the news? Deku stands up and sees that the hole is gone, saying, wait a minute, what happened? What did you do to me? Deku looks at the boy and says, why did you kill all those people? The teenager tells him because they didn't have potential, of course. Deku's angry and says, what do you mean they didn't have potential? He shows him the arrow, saying, this arrow gives people powers. Deku looks at him with an angry and confused look, saying, what do you mean special powers? The teenager tells him, well, it's this special power that no one else can see unless someone else has this power as well. But apparently, you survived, unlike those other people. That's why I shot you, because I wanted to see if you had potential or not. Deku looks at the teenager, saying, okay, but why do you want to see people's potential? The teenager says, I don't know, I'm doing it for fun, I guess. Deku with an angry look, saying, you did this. You killed all those people just for fun? Deku rushes right at the teenager, saying, you're not going nowhere. The teenager points at him and says, Red Hot Chili Pepper, get him. Once that happens, Deku sees an electrical small-like creature run towards him, wondering what is that, punching him right in his stomach. Deku looks at the teenager and tells him, what, you can't fight your own battles, you coward? The teenager tells him, well, technically I am fighting you. This thing is me. This is my stand. His name is Red Hot Chili Pepper. Deku looks at the teenager saying, what is that? The teenager tells him, I already told you, it's called a stand, and my stand name is Red Hot Chili Pepper. Deku tries to stand up while huffing and puffing, saying, a stand, huh? How do you know no one else can see it? The teenager tells him, do you have any idea how many times I use a stand in public, and nobody complained or saw it at all? The teenager continues, saying, you have any idea how many times I use it on some electronics in public? Every time I use it, people are usually wondering that the machine is probably malfunctioning or something. That's how you know nobody can actually see my stand. Deku tells him, you're telling me the only way to get a stand is by having potential and getting stabbed with the arrow? The teenager tells him, yep, as far as I know, yeah. Deku continues asking, saying, do you know where the arrows came from? Teenager tells him, no idea, I just use them. Deku's wondering how many arrows does this kid have? Remembering the news saying that this kid shot somebody with an arrow and pulled it back out and ran off. He's saying maybe he only has one. Deku asks one more question, please. Teenager says, continue. He says, out of all the names you would give to your stand, Deku begins to wonder, is this teenager gonna kill me? Until he sees his dad walking closer and closer behind him. He begins to ask the teenager, okay, do you know the origin of this arrow? The teenager tells him, I don't know. I was just using it to play with my guitar, then I tricked myself. And then a few minutes later, I got my stand. Deku wanting this conversation to continue, so his dad can get closer, asking, so did you break your strings off of your guitar playing with this arrow since you pierced me? The teenager tells him, no, I wasn't using it as a guitar pick, I was just pretending to. Until I accidentally cut myself on my finger. Then in a few minutes, I got my stand. Deku now with an angry tone basically tells him, wait a minute. To see my potential, you could have just pricked me with the arrow? Why'd you shoot me with it? The teenager tells him, it would have been a lot easier and faster. Think about it, it's not a knife. I'm supposed to stab you with it. Once the teenager stops talking, Deku's father comes out of nowhere, punching the kid in the back of his head, saying you're under arrest. But he pulls out his stand. Before the kid can even use his stand, Zuko's father put the quirk-canceling cuffs on him. So he's saying, there, you can't use your quirk no more. After the teenager gets one of his handcuffs, he used his stand to punch Asashi in the stomach, knocking him out. When this happened, Deku used his stand to touch the kid's face, knocking him out. After that happened, Deku sees a floating short man in the air, saying, so this must be my stand. And when he looks at the teenager, he sees that if he touches his face, he opens up like a book. As Deku gets closer and he begins to run through the pages, seeing his name, his stand, where he lives, and everything that he knows, saying, so, a stand ability. I guess mine for information, I guess. After Deku sees all the information that he has, He decided to grab his notebook and write it all down. It takes him a few minutes, but after he gets done writing down all the information, he grabs his father and begins to run home. But before he leaves, he sees the bow and arrow that will use to kill people. He shoves the arrow into his backpack and puts the bow around him and starts carrying his father all the way home. While Deku's done stuffing the arrow in the backpack and putting the bow around him and picking up his father, he calls the police. Well, Deku tells the police that he found a person that's been killing people with a bow and arrow. A few hours later, after Deku gets home, his father wakes up, asking him what happened. Deku tells his father to calm down, they already found that person. Asashi is a bit confused, saying, "Called who?" Deku saying the person that's been killing people with a bow and arrow. The guy you just punched under that tunnel. Asashi speaks out loud, saying, "Thank God, there's one more criminal off the streets." Asashi looks at his son and asks if they find the bow and arrow. Deku didn't say anything, just stepped out the way. After he steps out the way, Asashi sees the bow and arrow right behind Azuku. Asashi looks at Deku, saying, "Why do you have this?" Deku looks at his father and tells him, "I'll tell you what that arrow can do." Asashi looks at his son and says, "Alright, tell me." Deku tells him that arrow can give people mystical powers if you hit them. Asashi looks at Deku with an annoyed look, saying, "I'm gonna take you down to the police station." Deku looks at his father and tells him, "You don't believe me? I can prove it to you." Asashi looks at Deku, saying, "Okay, can you prove it?" Deku says, "Yes. You know we're both workers, right? Right? Okay, so I'm gonna close that door right over there." Once that happens, Deku uses Heaven's door to close the door. Asashi is baffled, and Deku points at a notebook, and Heaven's door picks it up. Before Asashi can say anything, Deku says, "I think it's called a stand. It's an invisible person that only I can see, and anybody else who has this power." Deku continues with, "I think mine is used for information." Asashi looks at his son, saying, "How much information can you get out of someone?" Deku tells him it depends if they experience it.